I'd like to welcome on stage Mr. Peter Vesterbacka, co-founder of Fun Academy and Angry Birds, for presentation on AI4VN.
So good morning. Actually, yeah, okay, now we're there. So good morning, everybody. It's fantastic to be back here in Hanoi, and really appreciate the previous presentations. So we're really like in this AI mood now. So it's a good start. But yeah, what I would like to talk a little bit about is, okay, we're actually I think at the last slide already. So let's go back a bit. So yeah, we covered good morning. So AI, of course, it's been a lot of discussion around AI, especially last few years. But we should remember that AI is nothing new. It's been around for a long, long time. And we have had, AI and all of this in work for a long time. One thing also being from Finland, we invented actually the self-propagating neural networks already in the 1970s. Then we invented self-organizing neural networks a bit later. So we have a long history for a small country of doing our fair share of AI innovation. But anyway, so it's a long history. Then there's been a lot of AI, of course, in science fiction, in literature, in movies. And I think that we get a lot of inspiration, but also a lot of illusions about AI and computers and robots and AI taking over the world and replacing humans. That also comes from a lot of these fairly dystopian visions of the future where there are only machines. And then one important topic, we have had a long history of machines taking over all the jobs. So what I want to say here is that now when we have, I would say, even hysteria about now AI, destroying all the jobs and what will we do in the future and all of that. I mean, this has been the case for 600 years, that various technologies were supposed to destroy everything and, there would be nothing left to do. And I'm the eternal optimist, so I think that AI is no different. Again, AI, of course, will kill a lot of the existing jobs, but it's not like it's the end of the world and, there will be nothing new. AI, of course, replaces a lot of jobs, but also creates even more new opportunity. And I think that this is something that we should always keep in mind. And this is especially important for all of our young people. And then say that we have had a lot of myths about AI for 2,500 years. So again, there is kind of like nothing new in that way. But maybe we actually leave that slide up there. But anyway, so I think that we really need to prepare for the future. I mean, there's nothing new there either. But again, now there is a lot of concern about the jobs. And I think that it's all of our job to make sure that we let the young people know that actually it's not the end of the world and there will be a lot of jobs. But again, that brings up one very important thing. And, coming from Finland, we're a very small country. We have almost no natural resources. I mean, we have a bit of forest, but that's about it. And very early on, I mean, we have been independent for 100 years. Very early on, we decided that, okay, what is the most important resource that we have? And, surprise, surprise, the people. The people are our most important resource. And I was giving a talk here in Hanoi also yesterday, and then I said that, okay, do you know, and I talked to some of the university students here. So I asked them that, do you know what is the most important resource here in Vietnam? And surprisingly, it's exactly the same thing. It's the people. And I mean, it's the same thing in China. 1.4 billion people, but it's still the people that are the most important resource. And if that is the case, we should also invest accordingly. So technology, AR, AI, AR, VR, you can name a lot of acronyms. There's technologies, always the kind of like the buzzword of the day. There's new technology also tomorrow, and people will get excited about whatever happens to be kind of like in vogue, in fashion at any given time. But I think that one thing that doesn't kind of like go away is the fact that if we have identified people as the most important resource, then we should also invest accordingly. We need to invest in our people. And that means that we really need to invest in education. And this is something that I think is very, very important. It was already mentioned in the Uli's like Siemens presentation, I think in some other as well, that there are many things that machines do much better than us humans. So why do we insist training our young people in many cases to compete with the machines? They will always lose. I mean, many of the jobs that are in the offices and the factories of today, of course, they will go away because machines can do them faster. So we really need to prepare for the future jobs, not for the jobs that are there today. I think this is something that is very, very important. So we need to make sure that our educational system is ready for the AI future, for the 4.0 future, for all of that. Very, very important. But if you visit schools today in most of the world, what do you see? Same thing. We're training people for jobs that will not be there tomorrow. It's very, very clear. And there is actually a joke that there was, by mistake, one guy got transported 100 years into the future, and everything had changed. I mean, AI, and probably they were already at 6.0 then. And then he couldn't recognize anything. Everything is like totally different. So what would we give as advice to that person that by mistake got transported 100 years into the future? The advice is that go to a school. It will be exactly the same. And when you think about it, that's actually, many cases, the way the world is. The schools are very similar to the schools that we had, the classrooms that we had a long time ago. But at the same time, the world around us has changed completely. Or let's say, a lot. Maybe not completely. Anyway, so what we need to do, there is a need now to reskill 5 billion people. That's what we're looking at. It's a big number. And I think that we will need AI, we'll need a lot of new approaches, but I think that technology is only part of the solution. Education is not about technology. It's a little bit like if you have a bad process in a company, in a business, it doesn't become less bad by throwing technology at it. Running a bad process super fast, still bad. If we have an educational system that is not amazing, throwing technology at it doesn't make it any better. I mean, the easy solution, let's buy everybody iPads and be happy. Not good enough. We need to look at the core of education. And I think for us to cope with the reskilling of almost the whole planet, because now what is happening, that change is accelerating all the time. So we are very fortunate, to live today, because change will never be as slow as it is right now. It's only getting faster. Education needs to cope with that. And again, coming from Finland, only 5 million people. We've given the world things like Linux, MySQL, Nokia, Angry Birds, Supercell. Long, long list of innovation. Only 5 million people. Why is that? Because we have fantastic education. I started by saying that we decided to invest in our people, into the best education on the planet. So if you come to Finland today, you visit a school, might be a bit different. I have 2 kids. They are 14 and 16. They go to school 9 or 10 in the morning. Then they get home early afternoon, and they go out and play. Then a bit later in the evening, they get home, they do 15 minutes of homework, and they're done. Short school days, almost no homework, fantastic results. So I wanted to use this as an example that it is not about education that, you go to school 6 a.m. in the morning, you get home very late, you do 2 to 4 hours of homework, and then you get a bit of sleep, and you repeat. And in some place, 7 days a week. I have friends in Singapore, some parents, and they're telling me that the kids there get so much homework that the parents have to do the homework on behalf of the kids. And some of my friends, some parents, they go to school in the weekend so that they can do the homework on behalf of their kids. Then I'm like, why? What's the point? Isn't education for your kids? And they say, yeah, but they have to get to the next level. They have to get to the best primary school, high school, university. Super, super competitive. But the problem is that they are only learning for tests. They are not learning for life. So extending the length of the school day, throwing more homework, it's a bad process leading to bad results. Yes, you score very high on the tests, but then when I ask somebody that's gone through an educational system like that could you please draw something? Then they will say, what could I draw? A cat. What color? Okay, make it black. How big? So this is example of what we get when you have an educational system that is telling you that do this, don't do this, do this, do this. We have to make sure that our educational system doesn't kill initiative, doesn't kill creativity. That's what's important. I think it's super important in the world of AI, in the world that is ever changing, more technology. We need more creativity, we need more innovation, we need more initiative. So I really believe that the way that we can cope with the future, with the reskilling, with the machine stealing jobs, we need to make sure that we prepare our young people for the future jobs. And we can use a bit of AI to help the teachers do their job better, but there is no substitute for a good teacher. Teacher is actually a job that probably will not be one of the ones that get replaced by machines anytime soon. And now I'm talking about good teachers, great teachers. So it's very, very important that we make sure that our young people become creative problem solvers. They can solve real-world problems. So when I tell somebody that draw something, they will draw something. Some will draw a cat, a dog, a box, different colors, but I don't need to tell them what to draw. And I think this is something that we should think about. So I really think that we need to focus on education, and I'm of course super happy to be from Finland because we have the best educational system on the planet. And talking about happiness. When you have good education, also leads to happiness. So Finland is also the happiest nation on the planet, according to the United Nations. And I think that that's what it's all about. Ask any parent what they want. Of course they want their kids to have a happy life, a happy, successful life. So I think this is something that is very important in education. And then another thing that I think is important, entrepreneurship. We need to make sure that, again, people can take initiative. Being an entrepreneur, having an entrepreneurial mind is actually about doing things. It's something that we need, of course, in startups, but we need that in big companies, but we also need it in government. We need entrepreneurial mindset in all parts of life. So, laying the foundation with fantastic education, and more than happy to share how we did that in Finland, and that's actually one reason why I spent the week here. I was actually to share a story about, went to Da Nang, and met with the mayor of Da Nang, and I was sharing like how we do education in Finland, and that we decided that people are the most important resource. And then of course immediately heard that, oh, but there's only 5 million people in Finland. I said, yes, very true, but you know, in Vietnam only 100 million people. It's not like 1.4 billion like in China or 1.3 in India. So you know, very small country. It matters of perspective. So the point of course being that Finland only 5 million people, so it's like easy. Actually, Singapore is 5 million people and they have a very different approach to education. So I don't think that there's any guarantee having a small country that it would be automatically fantastic. But anyway, so then I explained that the way we want to do this is that it's the same process as eating an elephant. Of course, you can try to chew it off in one bite, but you're not going to be successful. So the trick is, of course, to slice it into small pieces. So we could, for example, start with a smaller piece called Da Nang, and then we can do bigger piece called Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. So I think that there's always a way, and that's actually what entrepreneurship is all about. That's what we do in startups, that we look at what we want to achieve. Okay, we want to transform education. How many people? Okay, 100 million. How many teachers? Okay, a bit under 1 million. We can deal with that. So that's what entrepreneurship is all about. That's getting stuff done. And many times people will tell you that it's impossible, but you know, that's what entrepreneurs do. We're crazy, so we believe we can do anything, change the world, no problem. So education, entrepreneurship, and entertainment. 3 E's, triple E. I think that is very important. Why do I bring up entertainment? Of course, one reason that I was involved in building Angry Birds and making that the fastest growing consumer brand ever. 93% of everybody in China knows the brand, 91% in India, 9 out of 10 people on the planet. And again, I was told that was impossible, but the whole project started by 3 young guys, 3 students at Aalto University in Helsinki, Finland, made that company happen. They made 51 games, 50-second game, Angry Birds. So it took a while. But anyway, entertainment. We scaled that to over 4 billion downloads. So with entertainment, digital entertainment, you can go very, very fast. But one thing that is very important, why I bring up entertainment, we have to realize that we are competing for people's time. We are competing for our young people's time. So it's not acceptable to deliver education or anything that is not as good as the best movie on Netflix or the best game in the App Store. Because if we don't raise the level of the experience, the educational experience, we will lose. The school that hasn't changed in 100 years. Probably not very interesting for our young people that have their iPhones and all of these other gadgets. So again, we need to make sure that we are delivering services in education that are as good as the best entertainment. And as I said, being an entrepreneur, I think that anything is possible. There are very, very few things that actually are impossible. So to wrap up, I think that we will cope very well with this Industry 4.0, we'll cope with the AI revolution, all of that, as long as we invest in our people, as long as we invest in education and make sure that we educate everybody, not just a few, to the highest level. I think that will be the most important thing going forward. So thank you very much, and again, super happy to be here.